Hey, welcome to The Conversation. You're listening to Andy Mason, and this is authentic conversations around the messy intersection of faith, family, and business. And if you hadn't worked it out already, you can actually not just listen to this, but watch this podcast on the Heaven and Business YouTube channel. So jump on there and subscribe. That'd be fantastic. Today, I want to unpack with you what I am most excited about this year with Heaven and Business and what we're doing. And just stay tuned, because next week I'm going to unpack how I made the decisions to do what we're doing. So how do I make decisions? I'm going to give you what I'm now calling a decision-making tree, or a credo. Like, how do you align your values and your assignment with the decisions that you need to make? It's not about good versus bad. Hopefully we've got way beyond that, but it's about good opportunities. How do I decide between which opportunities I have in front of me with my business, with my family, with my future? How do I decide and navigate what things to say yes to and what things to say no to? That's coming next week, so keep tuned for that. Today, I want to just unpack what I was most afraid of and then what I'm most excited about. So 12 months ago, we left Redding, California as a part of a larger organization. Heaven and Business was underneath Bethel Church. And obviously there's some beautiful things as a part of that. You get access to a wide platform. There's favor, there's connections, there's resources just within a phone call and in person. And we heard God say, expand to the East Coast. And then generously, Bethel actually gave us Heaven and Business. So we're expanding that now, based in New Hope, Pennsylvania. But in the process, you wonder, we step out from underneath that large organization. We're a small organization sitting out alone. Will it continue? Will it expand? There were people challenging and questioning that. Are you crazy? Why would you leave the momentum of this? At the end of the line for me, you can go back and listen to the podcast, walking that through, is I'd rather be obedient and follow conviction, even if that meant walking away from all the supports and structures, knowing that I'm following the voice of God, rather than staying and wondering, did I really? That's the worst place to be in, no matter what you're surrounded by. So we stepped out, but the reality was, I was facing uncertainty. It was a lot longer process than we thought. And when we finally get here, we land, it's very, very different to what we expected in terms of the house, the property, and starting to build from zero connections on the ground. Now, that's some of the challenging things. The other concern, or what I had a concern or fear about, was what about the finances? Is that going to work? Are people going to continue to come to events? Is this all of those kinds of nagging questions in the background? And here's the spoiler. Yes, it has. I'm walking through my tax return right now, and I am amazed, grateful, humbled. If you're a client, if you are a customer of any of our products, if you have contributed to Heaven and Business, if you've been a part of this move, thank you so much, because it's just the faithfulness of God as we've stepped out, taken risk, and see Him come through. It's that point of faith. Faith is not faith until you've got an opportunity for something to go the opposite of what you want. Otherwise, there's no faith required. That's just a plan. So this faith step has proven that God is faithful, and things continue to grow. It feels like the lid is off, and here we go, 2023. So let's go. So one of the things real specific is we're planning our conference. Do we have an annual conference in Redding, California? Do we have it somewhere else? So I walk through the process of, is there room? Is there, in terms of priorities back in Redding, there was just no space or priorities to have it there. So I said, okay, what's next? And as we were planning whether we have it, do we go New York? Do I Pennsylvania? Do we have it? Where would you have it? Do I go Atlanta? Where would be a great hub to expand, but do it on the East Coast? And I was lying in bed one morning, and I'm sure this never happens to you, but I was starting to freak out. Like, normally we have 200 people. Would anyone come if we have this? I'm starting to think it's Atlanta. I talked to a buddy. He has a prophetic word for me that confirms, okay, it's Atlanta. That's where we know it's going to be. I wonder if we could have this in this location. Would anybody come? I speak to a friend at Bethel, Atlanta, and they get excited about the possibility of us hosting a Heaven and Business annual conference there. We're talking April the 20th to the 22nd. So all of these things are starting to move forward. But I'm like, now I'm at the point of having to pay and book and pay for the venue and travel and who's going to speak and will people come, and all those nagging questions in the back of my head. And I work through the math and like, oh my gosh, if I contribute all of this and it doesn't pay, that's quite a significant outlay. I'm lying in bed, do I get Bill Johnson? Would he even be available? What about Chris? What would it cost to have him over here? And all of those questions I'm kind of wrestling with. And then I pause and I'm like, okay, Jesus, what do you say? And as I just lie there in bed pondering, the name Leif Hetland comes to mind. And I'm like, Leif Hetland, you know what? I look him up. I've had a little bit of connection with him in the past. I know that he travels internationally. I have no idea what he does with business, if at all, but his book, Healing the Orphan Spirit, has been a profound impact in me in walking in identity and healthy and sonship and what that truly looks like. He talks about brothers compete, but when in my healthy identity as a father, I complete one another. So do I compete or do I complete one another? And so we're talking through this, and I wonder if I just reach out. So I just take a risk and I go onto the website. So the contact us on the website. I have no idea where he is. I'm not smart enough to look up the location. I just know he's somewhere on the East Coast. So I look up, contact us, and I just put in an email. So for those of you that are taking risk and stepping out, here's a great little thing you can do is test it. Stretch out, take a step. Isaiah 54, stretch out, prepare him room. So I take this little test and I'm praying, okay, God, if this is you, I'm applying to an email that there could be hundreds, there could be thousands of people that do this, but let them respond within 12 hours, within a day, and I know that this is you. And so I shoot off this message. And then 6 hours, less than 6 hours later, I get this email back, not just with an email, but that Leif is excited to talk. And not only that, but we've got an appointment the following Monday, like less than a week away, to have this conversation. So I'm like, oh my gosh, is this God? We get on a call and we talk. We have to stop the call after an hour. The testimonies that he's telling me about what's happening with business people, leaders of leaders, the miracles and the encounters with Jesus and the shift in identity and the flow of resources, expanding kingdom. It was like, oh my gosh, this is divine. But then to top it all off, it turns out that he is living 6 minutes away from the very location that we're talking about. I'm like, oh God, this is just a kiss from you, confirming this is the way to walk in it. There's a scripture in Isaiah that says, your ears will hear a voice from behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. It's not before, it's as you're walking. That's why the voice is behind you. But it builds faith and confidence as you step out and take risk. So I said, okay, I need to confirm the venue, but I'll come back to you. So the next day, I'm texting backwards and forwards with the contacts at Bethel Atlanta, and they say, look, we're going to a board meeting now, and we'll let you know. So I text back to Leif Hetland and say, hey, this is what's going on. Just waiting for the board to make their decision whether that's going to be okay. And Leif texts back and says, yeah, I'm on the board. I'll let you know. I don't know about you, but for me, those little things, confirming steps along the way as we take risk, as we expand, as we demonstrate this partnership with God in all of life, it is the greatest delight and joy as we get to do it. I am excited. So what's actually happening? That's April the 20th to the 22nd. You can jump on. It's live right now. Not only is Leif going to be speaking alongside Janine, my wife, and I, but we've got a whole heap of industry-specific people that actually walk the talk. They've got evidence of their walk with God in the business place. And so we're going to have a whole heap of breakout sessions where you're about to connect around your industry or something similar. You're about to hear stories of what that actually looks like, what a partnership with God actually looks like in their place, in your place of work, and then get to discuss, dialogue, and connect with others in the same space. And that's not all. I'm just excited about this move towards a greater measure of generosity, partnering with God in generosity. So I've got some friends. One is Benji Nolot of Exodus Cry. This story, if you have not heard that, I'm going to post in the link below a conversation that I had with him in terms of the transformational, powerful impact of hearing God say, rid the world of porn, and then seeing Pornhub, the largest distributor of online porn in the world, is being completely dismantled by a strategy from God that is super, super practical. Come and to interact, engage with Benji, but then not only that, they're going to have a booth there to let people know about Exodus Cry, what is happening, how they are modern abolitionists, the modern day Wilberforce, and what they did. They are making tangible, practical inroads to actually eradicate trafficking. So that's going to be huge. We're going to have their Alliance Defending Freedom. What they're doing and how they're doing it is just profound. We're going to have their generous giving that actually equips and trains us in understanding what generosity looks like. And then there's a local nonprofit that we're working with that's a food bank that we want to say, hey, we want to support you as well. So I feel like all of these little pieces are coming together. That's just, it's divine. It's exciting. So if you're hungry to experience more of the presence, power, wisdom, grace of God, hearing his voice in your workplace, if you want to know what that practically looks like and how to live that out on an ongoing basis rather than just happen here and there, but actually being a lifestyle of living in partnership with God at work, then join us. Jump onto heavenandbusiness.com/events and you will see that there. So that's one thing I'm super excited about to see unfold. In addition to that, there's a whole heap of workshops that we're starting to put together around the country and beyond. So next month, February, we'll be in Washington, D.C. In March, we'll be in Birmingham, Alabama. In April is the conference. In May, we're going to do an executive retreat. It's going to be a strategic retreat in Pennsylvania. And I've just confirmed the author, David John Seal, the book Network Power, The Science of Making a Difference. That book greatly impacted me, and actually I've just had a conversation with him this week confirming he's going to be a part of he'll come and do a seminar with us, the principles of that, then unpack that, the application of it. I'm working on someone to give us specific history, a history lesson around the Great Awakening in the United States and the Log College, William Tennant. If you haven't looked that up, look up the book, The Vision That Changed a Nation, the story of William Tennant and the Log College. And you read that and you realize the training, the speaking, what George Whitefield did and what a small number of people did that literally shifted the ideology and thinking of the United States that led to this phrase, all men created equal. All men under God created equal, that resulted in, decades later, the American Revolution. What's the point? We're going to do a 3-day strategic retreat. Day 1, we're going to unpack and experience sight and sound. The story of Moses is actually a show. Go behind the scenes, hear the miracles there. Day 2, we'll have these sessions on the specific revival history and how that shifted the ideology and thinking in the States that led to massive change. We'll hear about the science of making a difference, and then we're going to unpack that for you in terms of what you feel called to, what you're doing either in your business or over and beyond that, how to practically walk that out in community and do it healthy over time. I'm excited about that. That's May. And then coming up towards the end of the year, there's a couple of things I'm really excited about. One, I'm going to be taking a trip to Harare, Zimbabwe. And we're going to do a Heaven and Business event there that's kind of like, I would call this a missional adventure. We're going to do like a 2-day pouring into people there. Now, obviously, that's a whole different business model. They're not in the position to actually be able to afford to come to an event like you or I may be in the States or in the UK or in Europe. But they are hungry to experience the presence and power of God at work. And they're actually more aligned with must hear his voice because otherwise I starve. So there's whole strategy. So we're going to be doing that, pouring in encouragement and hope. And we're partnering with the Hope Directive. That's our 501c3. It's been around since 2015. So what we're doing through that is enabling us to go and take Heaven in Business to places that would have been limited by either the geography or by the finances. They couldn't do this by themselves in a sustainable basis, as in funding us to do an event, funding the resources that we want to pour in. And so we're doing that through the Hope Directive. If you want to find out more about that and how you can be a part of that, just email me, andy@heaveninbusiness.com. Then we're going to have, I got some really good friends. So I'm going to take a small group of people. We're going to take 3 days. And we're going to spend that on a houseboat in Zimbabwe as a retreat, adventure retreat. And then we're looking to do a 2-day, 1 to 2 day Heaven in Business workshop in Cape Town, which would be similar to what we do in Harare, Zimbabwe. That's all coming. And then the final thing that I'm kind of just scheming on is right now is we're putting together one in Germany, Stuttgart, Germany. We're looking at October. So for those of you in Europe that you haven't seen us for a couple of years, we are coming and it's happening. So those are some of the things that I'm excited about. You can find out more of those upcoming events and join us on those in person, heaveninbusiness.com/events. If you've got any questions or comments, don't hesitate to email me, andy@heaveninbusiness.com. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. And make sure you check out next week's episode, because I'm going to walk through how did I decide what places to go to. There's so many others that we have the opportunities. How did I say no? What did I say? I'm not going to tell you what I said no to, but how did I say yes? How am I making those decisions? And what am I learning and setting up a decision-making tree? Something that helps me line out, make those decisions in alignment with core values and with my assignment. You'll hear more about next week, and we'll give you the blueprints for that. Hey, thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe and share this, and I hope to see you in person soon.